2016 presidential candidates are making their views known on the Syrian refugee crisis, as are governors. In fact, more than 30 have vowed to block Syrian refugees from being accepted in their states. Immigration groups and others are challenging the legality of that call. Today, the ACLU is suing Indiana Governor Mike Pence. His office responded saying, quote, "The governor is confident he has the authority to suspend the state's participation in the resettlement of Syrian refugees in Indiana and will not reverse course until the administration and Congress take action." Legal expert with me now, attorney and Fox News analyst Arthur Aidala, Tea Party activist Niger Innis with me as well. Arthur, I'm going to start with you. Is this constitutional? Can governors say, we're not going to take any refugees?
Well, on its face, no. You can't. Well, that's not what he's saying. He's not saying I'm not taking any refugees. He's saying I'm not taking these specific refugees.
Syrian refugees.
Right. And that's where you get into trouble. If he just said he'd be in a stronger position if he just said under an emergency provision, under the safety of the citizens of my state, which I've taken an oath to protect, I am not allowing any non-citizen of the United States of America into my state. So that's what the ACLU is really focusing on in their attack.
Okay, I'm going to come back to you as to why the ACLU is focused on Indiana more than half of the other governors that have said the very same thing. I just want to bring in Niger. So Niger, it seems as if the governors can say to the State Department, we don't want refugees, and leave it standing at that. What is your take on this as a citizen?
Well, I think that, Mike Pence, along with, I believe, 29 other governors, Democrat as well as Republicans, are being responsible leaders of their state. And they're saying, wait a minute, hold up. We have a crisis in Syria. You don't have a credible government in place and hence database where you could properly cross-check the type of refugees that would come into in the case of Mike Pence, the state of Indiana. So I think he's doing the right thing. And look, I'm not a lawyer and I don't even play one on TV. So the courts will decide this. But I can tell you this much. Mike Pence's popularity in the state of Indiana has gone up dramatically.
So Arthur, why Indiana? I mean, we just saw this map. 30 states, including New Hampshire, with a Democratic governor, are saying no. Why Indiana?
To bring any kind of lawsuit, there needs to be a real issue. There needs to be, real litigants involved, people who have been harmed in some way. So there's one particular couple with their son got permission to come to America, to go to Indiana. They get to JFK, and then they're told they cannot go to Indiana. And Dan Malloy, the governor of Connecticut, said, okay, you could come into the state of Connecticut. I'll let you in. And what the governor of Indiana is saying is, look, I'm not saying you can never come in, but I want to make sure I know who you are. I need the federal government, I need Congress to do the appropriate background search. And this is not an endorsement, but what Senator Rubio said makes sense. Common sense must dictate. If you're talking about a 90-year-old priest or a 6-year-old orphan, that's different than people in middle age or younger people who could harm the citizens of his state.
Okay, Niger, what is your take? How much at risk are we if, as Arthur says, we're talking about widows, orphans, and priests?
No, look, obviously, common sense should prevail. But I think, one of the unfortunate things is folk like the ACLU and a lot on the progressive left almost make it like this is a civil rights and that immigration generally, not just a question of refugees, but immigration generally is somehow a civil rights entitlement. And while I'm not even a lawyer and I won't play one, as a Tea Partier, I love our U.S. Constitution. And I can guarantee you the framers of the Constitution never envisioned that immigration into this country would somehow be a constitutional or a civil or a moral right. It is something that is done within the interests of the American people. And Mike Pence is right on target in protecting the interests and the safety of the people of Indiana.